There's a small park tucked between the noise of the city, a place most people pass by without ever noticing. The grass grows uneven, the flowers bloom where they please, and a single wooden bench sits near the river, cracked and faded by time. Every morning, as the first rays of sunlight touch the water, a man named Daniel sits on that bench. He doesn't speak to anyone. He doesn't feed the birds or check his phone. He just stares at the river, quietly existing. He used to come here with his wife, Emily, and their little girl, Sarah. This was their favorite place. Their laughter still echoes somewhere between the trees. But that laughter faded 2 years ago, on a rainy night when everything changed. Now this bench is all he has left. Daniel's eyes tell stories his lips never do. They hold the weight of memories that refuse to fade. He carries an old photograph in his coat pocket, one of him, Emily, and Sarah. The edges are bent, the colors fading. Sometimes he traces their faces with his thumb as if touching them could bring them back. He whispers to the wind, hoping somehow they can hear him. But the world just moves on. Cars honk, people laugh, children run, and Daniel sits still, unseen, unheard. One chilly morning, as Daniel sat in silence, a small shadow approached. It was a boy, around 10 years old, with worn-out shoes and a torn backpack. His school uniform was faded, his hair messy, and yet, his eyes sparkled with a light Daniel hadn't seen in years. The boy stood near him, hesitating. "Sir, are you okay?" he asked softly. Daniel looked up, surprised. No one had asked him that in months. "I'm fine, kid. Just thinking," he replied, forcing a weak smile. The boy nodded. "You look sad." "My mom says when people look sad, it means they need a story." Daniel chuckled, a small, tired laugh, but a real one. The boy opened his small lunchbox. Inside was one simple sandwich, just bread and a thin layer of peanut butter. He looked at Daniel, then broke it in half, offering one piece with a smile. Daniel froze. No, that's your lunch." The boy shrugged. "My teacher says sharing makes the world softer." For a moment, Daniel didn't know what to say. His throat tightened. He took the sandwich with trembling hands and said quietly, "Thank you, son." That bite of bread tasted like something he hadn't felt in a long time. Hope. They began meeting every morning after that. The boy's name was Malik. His mother worked 2 jobs. His father had left long ago. He came to the park before school just to sit and talk. He told Daniel stories, how he wanted to build a big playground one day for kids who had nowhere to play. He said, "When I grow up, I'll build it right here by the river. Then everyone will have a place to smile again." Daniel listened, and in Malik's laughter, he heard something he thought he'd lost forever, his daughter's voice. Days turned into weeks. Daniel began sketching again, something he hadn't done since Emily died. Malik would sit beside him, watching in awe as Daniel drew birds, rivers, and faces filled with life. One day, Malik said, "You should paint something that makes people happy." Daniel smiled. "Maybe I'll start with this bench." And so, they began to paint the old bench, bright blues, yellows, and little drawings of flowers and hearts. Passers-by began to stop and watch. Some smiled, others sat. And slowly that old forgotten park began to feel alive again. One morning the sky was gray and rain fell hard. Daniel came to the bench, umbrella in hand, waiting for Malik. He waited an hour, then 2. The boy never came. The next day, and the one after, Daniel kept returning, but Malik was gone. Weeks later, he learned from a street vendor that Malik's mother had fallen seriously ill. The boy had been sent to live with his aunt in another city. Daniel sat on the painted bench, the rain soaking his coat, and whispered, "Thank you, kid, you saved me." Months passed. But something inside Daniel had changed forever. He started a small project using his savings to restore old benches around the city. He called it Benches of Hope. Each one was painted by hand, filled with bright colors and quotes about kindness, love, and courage. One bench said, "Even the smallest act of love can change the world." People began to notice soon. Others joined. Artists, volunteers, even strangers who just wanted to help. The benches became symbols of healing, and every time someone sat down, Daniel hoped they'd feel what Malik had once given him. A reason to believe again. Years later, the park was no longer forgotten. The grass was green, the benches gleamed with color, and the laughter of children echoed by the river. One sunny afternoon, Daniel, older now with silver hair, returned to the bench where it all began. A young man stood there taking pictures of the benches. When he turned around, Daniel froze. Those eyes, those same bright, kind eyes. It was Malik, grown now, wearing a volunteer badge that read, Benches of Hope Foundation. "Malik," Daniel whispered. The young man smiled. "You did it, mister. You made the world softer." Daniel's eyes filled with tears. "No, son, we did." They hugged beneath the golden sunlight, the river whispering beside them. As the sun set, Daniel and Malik sat side by side, sketching once more. Children ran around, chasing laughter. The city lights flickered in the distance. The bench stood proudly, painted, alive, beautiful. It wasn't just wood and nails anymore. It was a memory, a promise, a legacy. The river flowed endlessly beside them, as if carrying their kindness out into the world. And Daniel thought, maybe this is what heaven looks like, when one act of love ripples far enough to touch 1,000 hearts. The world doesn't change in grand moments or great speeches. It changes in small acts. Shared sandwiches, painted benches, kind words. You don't have to save the whole world. Just make your small corner a little softer, and one day it will all connect like ripples on a river.